Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this special edition of Meeting of the Minds. I still go by the name of Dorian's Grave, and most of you know me as Michael Opara. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is the 1st of October, 2021, and the world is officially open. Oh, shout out for that, by the way. Thank you very much. If you're watching from home, welcome. The audience, welcome. Apparently, the 1st of October is actually the national day of the country I'm from, and that's Nigeria. So, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. I got to celebrate that still. That's where I'm from. In the room today, we have, Jesus Christ, I don't even know where to start or where to even begin to understand your stories or the complexities of Mr. Osama Shaheen, who's someone I kind of met, with a couple of times in Bergen, and I sort of kind of knew our paths was going to cross somehow.
Yeah.
I think you could just feel that energy in certain kind of people without even saying much with them. And it's a pleasure to have you here in the house, Osama. Or should we say Shaheen? Which do you prefer?
Osama.
Osama? All right, let's kick it with Osama for sure. This episode here, I actually want to call Meeting of the Mind, not plural. Because in these instances, it is important to actually listen to your story. And it's just, it's one for the books, mate. And you actually wrote a couple of journals, too. We're going to jump into that in a little bit. And we're going to, get to learn how your perseverance and how your resilience, going through time and making that crazy trip. I mean, I don't even know if I could pull it off. To be honest, I probably would just die in the first 24 hours and just say, screw this shit. I'm not doing this anymore. But your stuff is inspiring. To the viewers at home, again, Meeting of the Minds is a platform that has been designed to speak to individuals who are not, originally from Norway, and some of them also from Norway, but we're more interested in finding out what makes them tick. We're more interested in finding out who they are as individuals, and maybe if we understand their stories, we might actually be inspired and draw some parallels with our own stories and make maybe the right decisions, or just make certain decisions to help us go forwards in life and make sense of the society we find ourselves in. I shall try to stray away from the politics of everything, because these days everybody has an opinion, and Facebook and social media does a great job at that, and the comment section never ends. But for me personally, and for us personally, I think it's important to highlight the people. So Osama, are you ready? Let's go.
Yes.
Let's go. I'm like a child right now, just, All right, so tell us about where you're originally from.
First, thank you for this introduction. I'm sweating already. No, where I'm originally from. Yes, Palestine. Mm-hmm. I was registered as stateless Palestinian refugee in Syria. We are around 500,000 Palestinian refugees in Syria. So originally my grandparents came to Syria or were forcibly displaced after Nakba in 1948. They came to Syria. My parents also were born in Syria. So I'm a mix of Palestinian.
What year were your parents born in? What year?
My father 1950 and my mother 1953.
Okay.
So my father was born 2 years after Nakba. And so I'm a mix of a Palestinian Syrian person. Sometimes I say I'm a Palestinian Syrian, sometimes I say I'm Syrian Palestinian, so this question is a bit difficult.
Is it important for you to make those distinctions?
Yeah, it's a bit difficult sometimes. It depends, and I'm more into to say I'm Palestinian Syrian, although that I've never been to Palestine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So as so many of Palestinian refugees in the area there, in the Middle East, in Syria, in Lebanon, or in Egypt, they haven't been to Palestine. But we still have this kind of very strong connection to Palestine as a country that was taken from us.
Right.
So then I went to Russia, and then I came to Norway.
No, easy with that.
Yeah. No, but this is where I'm from. I feel like because everything is placed like a very small part of your identity in a way, but the main identity is Palestinian, Syria.
So you're living in Syria. Your mom, your dad. Did you have any siblings?
Yes, I have a very big, nice family. I have 4 siblings, 3 brothers and 1 sister. 3 brothers in Germany and 1 sister in United Emirates.
In Emirates. Okay.
Yeah, so we're spreading around the world. Yeah.
Right now, of course.
Yeah, right now, yeah.
But back then in Syria,
Yeah, we were all in...
what was it like in the house? What was the vibe in the household?
So beautiful. I always talk about the neighborhood where I lived called Al Yarmouk refugee camp, which is it's a camp, but it's like a place to 500,000 of people. Okay. And just to make a little bit of comparison between Al Yarmouk and Bergen, so Al Yarmouk is 2 square kilometers, while Bergen is 450 square kilometers, and the population of Al Yarmouk is 500,000.
Okay.
Yes. So you could imagine how crowded was the place, the density. But that was very nice in so many ways. My parents both work in education. My father was teaching mathematics, and my mother was a principal at school. So for us, education, it was something that is very, very important. And for all Palestinian refugees at that time, because when everything is taken from you, so then you think education is the only way for you to build your life up, to have income for everything. And we succeeded in doing that, and my parents succeeded. Like we all have very high education, which is nice. I'm the youngest. I was quite spoiled between my brothers.
Okay.
Yeah, and
how so?
Yeah, no, like my parents were building their life up in a way.
All right.
So then it was so difficult for the one who was born first in 1977, my brother Ahmed, and then I came the last in 1990. My family already were established, you know. So I wasn't really through what my oldest brother had been through. Yeah, but very nice home. I remember it very well. Of course, I can't visit it now. 90 square meters where brothers share one room, and I guess you know the vibe. It's just so beautiful.
I understand.
It will be so difficult if you ask me about the whole family, because then
the extended family was spread out everywhere.
No, it's about there are so many.
All right.
So it would be so difficult actually to answer the question about the numbers. So, but they are a lot, and so I have very big family from my mother's side, and also from my father's side. It's really, really big family, which is very nice. I have a lot of cousins. 2 of them, they live here in Bergen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Ironically enough, one of them has the same name, and he is a dentist.
Oh my God.
so many times people really mix us up.
That's pretty
interesting. We studied in the same
there.
school and then at the same university. I'm 3 years older than him, and then I don't know how we both live in Bergen right now. So sometimes he gets messages and Osama come here, and then he say, you send it to the wrong Osama, send it to that one. I am the one who is still a dentist. Yeah.
Interesting. And I like the way you describe all this with so much joy. Yeah, because it's so easy when you live in Norway and Norwegians hear you come from a certain kind of place. And the first thing they say is, oh yeah, they think your life is in shambles all the time. But here you are describing a household where everything seemed okay.
Amazing. And I don't like to make I can't compare I can't compare Bergen to Damascus, and there is no way to compare them.
It's 2 different.
Yeah,
spaces.
they are very different, and very, very different 2 places, and then yes, this neighborhood is just plays big part of my identity. So the way we thought about Palestine as a part that was taken from us, and you see all these gravities and on the walls, and people talk about revolution in Palestine and all of these things. So it plays a big part of my identity. So I really feel like I talk about it with joy, you know?
With pride, too.
Yeah. Everywhere I go. I was in a conference 3 days ago, and they told me, like, tell us about your life in Norway. So I went back to Yarmouk, and I talked about Yarmouk. I don't know if I can live there right now. It would be difficult after I lived in Bergen.
You're spoiled now, right?
And I miss it so much, of course, and I love it so much.
All right, so what happened then? What happens? There's displacements all of a sudden. There's a chaos going on. And I'm guessing there's a certain points where you said to yourself, or where your family said to yourself, okay, things are not normal anymore. Now some changes have to be made.
Yeah.
When did you start thinking about this?
No, the main displacement or the change happened when I remember 18, because we moved to another neighborhood in Damascus, which looks like some neighborhoods here in Bergen. And then I start also thinking about my Syrian identity at that time.
Okay.
And also how the Syrian community is accepting me. Because since you live in that ghetto, so you are a Palestinian, and then you have this discussion about assimilation. Are you Syrian? Are you Palestinian? Something similar to what we have here, but in a different context, since we belong to the same culture and we speak the same language. So then I start thinking about how much Syrian I am, or how Palestinian I am. That was when I was 18, and then that was my first year in the university. And I heard so many of these words that some people criticize here in Norway. For example, you are Palestinian, but you don't look like a Palestinian. So some people were in Syria telling me that. And then I was like, but how do Palestinians look like, you know? And then I studied dentistry for 5 years. And then it happens that I came back to Yarmouk to work there. So I was working in a hospital, and I was very engaged and in working there, because especially that our neighborhood, or Yarmouk, was really experiencing the war. And so I went back there. I was living there. I was working there 24 hours, since I was working in the only hospital for 400,000 people or 500,000 people. So that was very, very intense. So that led to the displacement that happened after, to leave Syria and to leave Damascus eventually in beginning of 2014.
Okay, so when you were 18, all of a sudden, identity crisis kicks in.
Yeah.
In terms of your identity and pursuing your Syrian identity, you're getting those questions. Oh, you say you're this, but you don't look like this. What led to that? Something must have happened. So maybe some of your friends or some people you met, maybe some questions, maybe you read a book.
Yeah.
Because so far you've been living your life and everything was okay and you were content with what you had. And then all of a sudden, identity crisis comes in. What leads to those kind of questioning where one is from exactly?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't really happen overnight.
Yeah.
Does it? Because I'm trying to juxtapose that with, say, when you come to Norway and all of a sudden, let's say you become a Norwegian citizen and you start asking yourself, am I fully Norwegian or am I still that person? And usually when that happens, something usually happens.
Yeah. The thing is, in Damascus, also I lived before in Mosque, like the social differences, class differences is very, very huge.
Okay.
So people look down to some people who live, for example, in poor neighborhoods. We have a lot of jokes also about people who live in a specific area or other cities also, out from Damascus. So then this thing, people want to take this part of you from you when you, for example, you live in suddenly this rich neighborhood where people go with their dogs and walk, and they just have this big place for them. Streets is only for them.
It's like a bubble.
Yeah. And then, of course, I was happy to live there in that neighborhood, the new neighborhood, because it's different experience. And suddenly you can, for example, run in the street, you can train.
Jog?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Imagine, you can't do that. Imagine that you want to jog in Yarmouk, and then you will just crash with people all the time. So it's a nice experience, but at the same time, I don't want them to take that experience from me. So something similar to what happened, for example, people say that, du er norsk, you are Norwegian. But I say, no, I'm not Norwegian, please. And of course, I would be proud to be Norwegian, but I am not. And that was a bit similar at that time, but also it's more intense, because then it's about, I don't accept your poverty back in the time. So I just want to accept that you are belong to this rich neighborhood in a way.
That's caste system to the like max.
Yeah.
I mean, like, but anyway, so you go back to work as a dentist.
Yeah.
And then 2014, you make your move.
Yeah, like I was working in this hospital, and so then I wasn't working as a dentist only, because we were like really lacking a lot of people who work in the hospital. We really need a lot of people. And then I was working in surgery, I was working as a nurse, everything that is possible. Sometimes I just talk to people who are missing someone. And then the hospital was bombed, like was completely destroyed, because Al Yarmouk was considered to be a place or a neighborhood out of order. Out of order means that the majority in this place are against the regime. So that give the regime the green card just to bomb the whole place. So like the 500,000 neighborhood that I'm talking about now, it's only 10,000 people who live there. So it's almost 70% of it is destroyed. And so then at that time, I needed to make the move, because then also it's very dangerous, since I work in this hospital. For the regime, two things that were completely forbidden is to work in hospitals and help people who are out of order, and to film. Like to
document.
To document everything that is happening. For the regime, that these two things were like completely forbidden. So then I just decided to leave, which wasn't easy when it comes to me as a person, and also when it comes to documents and passports and all of these difficulties when it comes to visa and all of these things.
Of course.
Because as a Palestinian, you have this travel document. I honestly don't know why they call it travel document. They should call it travel ban document, because you can't travel anywhere.
You can travel with
No, you can't travel anywhere around the world. And to get a visa somewhere is completely impossible. So then I moved to Russia, because Russia has a lot of corruption. So I bought the visa. So I didn't get it like legally. So sometimes corruption is good.
Yeah, I mean.
So then I traveled there. Like, Russia is a nice country, but it wasn't my dream, for example, my childhood dream to live in Moscow. But then I ended up eventually in Moscow at that time.
What was your family at the time?
My family, all of them, I had one brother only in Germany, and my sister was already before 2000.
They made the move before you made your move.
One brother, and my sister already before 2011, she was in the Emirates, like she was working, and her family were there, established and everything. So then I left. Most of my family were there, were still in Damascus at that time.
Your father, your mother, I mean, how did what were they going through mentally? Can you describe it? Because I can imagine that you come from a family where certain virtues are very important, right? Like you mentioned, education. And like you said, that's a normal thing, especially the way you come from a space like that. It's important to get education, because education can be your gateway to something else.
Yeah.
And if you are a principal and you're a mathematics teacher who's your dad, did they change over time? Did they have that same, yes, we're going to make it? Or did you watch them deteriorate over time?
Yeah. That is very interesting question. No, mentally it was so difficult, like, to leave. And I remember, like, the last time that I was leaving Damascus, so I was taking the car to Lebanon. So then the last two people that I was like really saying goodbye to, they were my parents. Oof. And it was so difficult, and I was very afraid that I will never meet them again. And then I really appreciate how much they were connected to me, in a way that they still, for example, they have this connection, like, Osama, how are you? How are you doing? While I was in Russia, or after when I came to Norway. In a way that it would be described as this, like we are described as people who are very connected to their parents, and their parents decide everything for them. No, it's not like that, but they are just like...
Love.
It's love, and like pure love. And this support from family, and actually I don't understand how parents have this capacity to give all this love, actually, while you are miles away from them, and they still like you feel like they are around you. It is so insane. I can't understand it sometimes when I met my family again in 2017 and 18, I really didn't feel that it's been 5 years since I met them last. It didn't feel like that to me.
What was the emotions like, though?
No, I was very stressed. Like, I met first my two brothers. The first time that I met someone from my family, it was in 2017. So I got my residence permit here in Norway. I got it 8th of March. I traveled to Germany 9th of March.
Oh, okay.
I went to meet my brothers.
No time wasting.
No, yeah. So I went to Germany to meet them, and I was very stressed in the plane. And I remember someone was sitting next to me, so he was trying to talk to me, and we were about to land in Berlin. And I told him, I'm going to meet my family after 4 years now. I can't talk about anything. It was very, very nice moment. I remember it, but it was like way more difficult mentally when I met my mother.
Oh, yeah. How was that? Did you cry, though?
Yeah.
And I hope you did.
Yeah.
Just saying, I hope you did.
Like I was crying from the day before, and then it was very nice that I remember that when I was in Oslo, because I was living in Buda at that time, and so then I talked to her from the airport. I told her this would be the last time that we talk on phone in this way, that we don't see each other. And then one of my brothers, he recommended to make it a surprise. I told him, no, I will not surprise her in this way. No.
Heart attack.
Yeah. Like, it's been 5 years since I met her last time. So, yeah. I guess we hugged each other maybe for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, like, just so nice. And
that feeling is indescribable. I remember when I went back home 5 years after I'd been in Norway.
Yeah.
Funny thing is, I didn't even cry when I saw my mom at the airport. It was when I got home. I don't even know what I mean. Like, at the airport, like you say, it was stressed. It was like, you don't know what you're feeling. You're feeling something, but it's like, what is this? What is this? What am I going to say? What am I going to do?
Yes.
And then I see her, and I'm like, okay. You know, we did a normal hug and everything. And when we got home, as soon as we opened the door, man, I am crying.
Yeah.
Like you said, I was crying for at least 20 minutes straight. And it wasn't because of, I think it was because of a rush of these memories just they start coming back to you, you know?
Yeah.
And but anyways, we're going to run it back to 2014 because I think you're trying to run away from the bicycle, man. I'm not going to let you do it, mate. I'm not going to let you do it. I mean, I'm trying to understand.
I'm trying to understand as well.
We make decisions. Okay, everybody makes decisions every now and then, and it's okay. We make calculated decisions. How did you end up with that decision right there?
The bike.
The bike. How did you say to yourself, okay, you know what? Fuck it. This is what it is. Do it.
No, I lived in Russia for 1.5 years, and then Russia was included significantly in Syria, like in the war in Syria, and they were sending Russian army and everything. That was September 2015. Before that, we really felt like our visas are about to expire, and we just had this student visa where you are not allowed to do anything. You just study at university, you come back. You don't have the right to do anything else, like to work or to establish your life or a future. But as I said in the beginning, that I just left Syria, but I didn't know what Russia is about at that time. It's not like negative of the country. The country is nice. Mosque is a very, very beautiful city, the city center and everything. But to be there as a Syrian person is something is impossible. So then me and some friends, we just like, we need to leave. And two of them, they have the same situation as me, as stateless Palestinians. So our visa, like we can't get visas to other countries. So we were sitting in Syria, we can't leave the country. And then suddenly I'm in Russia and I have the same situation where I can't leave the country. I'm just trapped. So then we were trying some visas to other countries, like small around Europe, so we can also smuggle ourselves.
How did you get to Mosque, to Russia?
By plane from Beirut,
right.
Lebanon, to Russia, and then I lived there. But then you want to think about the future. What would happen next year? And when my visa would be expire in a few months, because eventually they will send me back to Syria if
Yeah.
And so then we were looking around, looking for the possibilities, and then Europe was open to refugees. Of course, you don't want so much to be like to have this trip again, to be a refugee and all of that, but it is a decision that you have to make. And we read about it first in a newspaper, I remember, about people smuggling themselves to Norway. And I remember I didn't want to go in the beginning, but I have two friends that I trust so much. We weren't so like very, very close friends, but I trust so much at that time, and they were going there. So I was like,
you've been through a lot together, so
yeah. And I was like, what would happen? Eventually, I will be sent back to Syria, and that will be the real crisis. And then I was like, we're gonna try it. So then we were looking around, and it was about a bike that you have to cycle. But funny enough that I can't cycle. I don't know how to cycle.
Wait, are you for real right now? Seriously?
Yeah, for real.
Okay, all right.
And then my friends told me, like, you have to learn. And then we hear that it's about 15 kilometers that you have to cycle. And that's a lot. Like 15 kilometers, that's a lot. And then I remember I had very intensive course in how to cycle. So we went to a park in Moscow. Yeah, seriously, like that would happen.
No, wait.
Yeah,
It's
and I have a
amazing.
video, I have photos and everything. So these two friends that I trust so much, so they were in another city at that time, and then they were waiting the news. What happened? Like, and then they are sitting here, actually, these two friends now. Well, but
Whoa, are you kidding? Yo, give it up, guys. Wow.
Yeah, and then
You should have told me they were coming.
yeah. And then I remember my friend Muhammad, he was calling, Osama, what happened? And then he was calling other friends, yeah, teach him how to cycle and stuff. And I was just crashing with everyone. I remember it was a Gorky park in Moscow that I was like practicing. And then the next day we went to Murmansk in the north. We took the plane to Murmansk. And then we had an agreement with a person where like he will take us to the first borders or checkpoint, because you are crossing between Russia and NATO. Like you could imagine how serious is that. So it's 3 checkpoints. And the first one we could cross with car with this man. And then on the second checkpoint, you have to cycle from the second to the third, which is 15 kilometers. And then luckily, back to corruption, the Russian army said, you don't need to bike, you can pay $100 and we will transfer you. And I would pay everything I have in my life for not to cycle 15 kilometers.
Wait, were you scared? Did you say that because it's 15 kilometers and that sounds insane, or because you didn't trust your bicycling skills?
Both. And also, actually, I was afraid that if you say no to the Russian army, what would they do?
Yeah.
That's a different discussion. So then they transferred us to the third checkpoint, but like maybe 200 meters before that. So I biked only 200 meters. But you wouldn't believe how I was biking. It was like left, right. And then I was crashing with someone, and then he told me, don't you know how to bike? I said, no, I don't know how to bike. So then we came to the borders, and then like we were like prepared to say that we're gonna seek asylum here, and then the policeman said like, yeah, just come in. Like don't like we know already like what you want, because it was already some people already came by bikes to Russia to Norway.
They're used to the situation.
Yeah. So like you are coming by your bike. Are you coming here for tourism? No, like you're coming to seek asylum. So. Yeah, and since then I haven't tried to bike at all.
You're kidding me?
No.
Okay, all right. I think we need to get Osama, for Christmas. I know. Jesus Christ, man, come on. But so now you're in Bordeaux or Buda. Buda. Sorry, I butcher that name all the time. Unfortunately, sorry. What happened next?
Yeah, that we were in Kirkenes, and then we were sent to. Then there is a midlertidig asylmottak, temporary, and then there is one that is permanent, the one that you stayed in until you get your residence permit. And then we were transferred to Buda. That was my permanent asylmottak. And actually, that was 1st of October 2015. That was exactly 6 years ago.
Wow, today.
Yes.
Holy shit.
So then we were sent to that asylmottak. Dverlanda Mottak in Buda, I think it is the ugliest place in Norway. It is so ugly. Like Norway is a beautiful country with nature and everything, but that place is just so depressing. A lot of people who just 200, 250 people, refugees, who are just waiting for their documents, their positive answer from UDI. So then we were expecting like this would take maybe 6 months until we will get this positive answer from UDI and we will start establishing our life. You come with a lot of hopes. And then we were crushed by a lot of decisions that those people who came from Russia, Syrians who came from Russia, or people who are like Palestinians, Syrians, they will not be treated as refugees, but they will be treated as Russians.
Okay.
That was at that time. So then, like, we expected like that will take maybe 5-6 months, and then with that came, so then our application was rejected for asylum. And then they said like this case, like in a way, like doesn't deserve to be looked at because you came from Russia, it's a safe country. But actually I didn't come from Russia.
Right.
I came from Syria. So that was a big discussion and UDI and everything, and for around 1 year, I guess. We were around 5,000 people. 1,700 were from Syria or Palestinians who came from Syria. So people are actually that we don't have any place to go back to. So then at that time we were trying our best, and then the application was rejected the first time, the second time, and you are living in this asylmottak where actually you don't have the right to do anything.
So you felt like you were back home in Syria, actually, when you think about it.
Yeah, and it is actually the worst time in my life because you really, like, life is going around you, but you are just at the same place. And you just wake up and you say, what I'm going to do today?
That's ironic. That's super ironic because
I can't do anything.
We talk about these things all the time in terms of refugee camps and then asylum. And it's crazy how you can look at these comparisons and you just literally about 15 minutes ago, you talked about how you had to leave Syria in 2014 and not being certain, not being able to do anything.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you end up in Norway where things are supposed to be better.
Yes.
And it turned out to be worse than it actually was back home in Syria.
Yeah. And of course, you are safe. Like nobody would come to detain you.
But the psychological pressure, though.
Exactly. And you sit there, you try to do things, but you can't do anything. I was trying to engage myself in different things, translating some stuff, and but it was a very difficult period. Eventually, we were like treated as Syrians. There was a decision to treat Syrians who came from Russia as Syrians. And then we got our residence permit after 1.5 years of living in asylmottak in that place in Verlanda. So that period was really difficult. And I remember like my family was trying to support me. Like imagine someone in Syria is trying to support you while you are in Norway because you are not legal in Norway. And luckily also, like one of my friends was in Buda at that time, one of those who biked with me. And then also I got to know some people. I got to know the person who is my girlfriend right now. And also I met a Norwegian family that we were, for example, taking care of the cats while they're away, and they were treating like really me as one of the family, inviting me to dinners and stuff. And you really need that recognition that you are a human being. You don't just belong to that ugly place. You can be invited to some places. You can be invited to play football with others. That was very important for me. And then I got that positive answer from UDI, and I just decided to stay in Buda for a while to study Norwegian and then to move to another city.
Was it difficult to study Norwegian?
No.
A lot of people say things about how Norwegian is a difficult language, but I disagree.
No, my English was good at that time, and Norwegian. I studied Russian already,
Okay.
and back in Syria also I studied Spanish for a little bit of Spanish.
Jeez.
No, like I study Spanish just for fun, and
Okay,
yeah,
sure.
so I understand a lot, but I don't speak it like very
Right,
well.
right.
But then I studied Russian in a very short time, so I know already how to study a new language. And then Norwegian is very easy, like the verbs and everything.
It's
Like
just-
grammar in Norwegian is easy. It's not
pretty
so
straightforward.
difficult. Yeah,
It's pretty
exactly.
straightforward, to be honest.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I hear people say things about how Norwegian is. There was something I read on social media, and somebody said Norwegian was the most difficult language to learn, and I said,
No,
no, fam.
no, I disagree.
Try learning French. You know, or Arabic or Russian. Well, I'm not familiar with those words, those worlds. I'm talking about what I tried to learn. And I remember, like, I looked at Norwegian and I said, this is pretty straightforward. It's if you speak English somewhat,
Yeah,
you'll be fine.
yeah.
You know, it's just the time to go through it. But now you learn the language. Did you think now, okay, now you're ready to get into the society. Now you're ready to become who you are as a man?
Yeah, like this time while I was studying Norwegian, so you start like to feel the place around you. Actually, I was living in Buda at that time and Asil Mutag, but then it was complete different experience when I was living in Buda as someone who is legal. And then I'm studying, I'm doing something, like the energy is different. The way you look at the streets, everything is also different. So at that time, like the only hope that I had is just like to be settled and to be legal. But then when I stayed in Buda for a while after I studied Norwegian, I was like, I want to move from here. Like I was like, it is a bit boring to live here. It's a very beautiful city.
Oh,
and
you
people-
outgrew it.
Yeah, it is very beautiful city and people are very, very nice. And I already had some network in there. But I was like, I really need to do the move, like to a bigger city maybe. And especially that this thing about dentistry that start happening. So I really need to find a new path. And I was like in between Oslo and Bergen. And then I visited Bergen once and the city is just so
And you were
beautiful.
hooked.
And I visited in June. I didn't visit in September or October, you know?
How did that work out for you?
No, it was 30 degrees, and then also I was a bit falling in love with the city and with someone. So then everything was like charming, still charming. I love Bergen. So
I always said Bergen is this. It's like a toxic relationship, you know, where you know when it's bad, it's really bad, but when it's good,
like today.
it's good, we stay. And then the new students usually come here in August.
Yeah.
And in August, the weather is actually kind of nice.
And you party.
And you're like, oh, wow, you know, amazing city. And it doesn't rain. And then they
Yeah.
say, what are you talking about? It never rains in Bergen. And then all of a sudden, it's like,
People say it rains a lot. And then, yeah, like that's what people say in August. People say it rains a lot. But then suddenly in September and October, it's just like constantly raining. And yeah.
no, but so you come here, still, you've been through all these things. And you as a foreign person coming to Norway, I'm trying to relay this on other foreigners who've been here too. And I think your story probably resonates with a lot of people, maybe in the room, definitely your boys over there, you know, and of course other people who are watching from home. And so far, it just seems to me like you're just steamrolling. You know, you're not stopping and saying, oh no, what am I going to do? I'm depressed. This is the end of my life, especially when you describe the Asil Mutak you were in as being super ugly of a place to be in. But still, you keep going. I mean, you get a family, you get to look after the cat. You know, you meet a beautiful woman and you come to Bergen. One time you're still in Bergen, you're still going, you think about dentistry. How did you get into dentistry? Did you eventually take your master's?
Yeah, like what I studied in Syria, it was 5 years, dentistry. So we call it, in Norway, they call it master. In Syria, we call it a bachelor of 5 years.
Okay.
But then after you finish this, so then you can practice and work as a dentist, as in Norway, after these 5 years. So then I took 1 year after that in Syria. And then I was working, during that time I was working in the hospital. And then when I was in Russia, I studied another year in surgery, oral surgery for 1 year. So overall, I studied 7 years dentistry. And then I applied for to work as a dentist here in Norway. So there is two things. There is NOKKOT and there is Helsedirektoratet. So the NOKKOT sent me all the points that I studied. It was fair. Like what I studied, I got it. But then Helsedirektoratet said, no, Osama, you can't work as a dentist here. So I got an afslag. And the reason is that you have to study, you have to apply or to go through some tests, or you have to study again as a dentist. So I was looking around, what are the possibilities? It was either I study this, I go to get my authorization as a dentist in Norway, or I will study something new. And I was crazy enough to start to choose the first one, which is I will have to have chemistry 1 and chemistry 2 back in videregående skole. Because they don't accept the chemistry that I studied in videregående skole. It is so insane. I still don't understand, especially that we really need a lot of dentists and doctors in Norway. And I have to have chemistry 1 and chemistry 2, and then I have to apply to university. Maybe I will get to the second year immediately, since I studied 7 years dentist in my life. So then I will go to the second year. Overall, it will take 6 years. And what is my problem with that wasn't the time. My problem was that why would I study the same information that I studied back in Syria, just in a different language? Like that's just a loss of time. So when I was going to this chemistry and classes in videregående skole, so I was sitting there, 27, 28 years old, sitting with 16, 17. You know, like the difference in these 10 years are like very different when you are, for example, 27 and you're sitting with people who are 37.
Yeah, right.
It's very different,
it's different.
mindset,
Absolutely.
everything is very different. So then I was sitting there and I was studying chemistry that I passed completely in Syria. And then, for example, the teacher is asking me questions that actually I know so much in chemistry that I can be the teacher. And like, I didn't want to be very humble and just to study all of this. I was like, after 2 weeks, back to my friends. So I was living with Muhammad at that time in Buda. And he just felt that it's mentally punishment for me. Like,
for sure.
It's really punishment for me. So then I just decided I would just drop that. I will not go to chemistry anymore. And I just have to study something new. Like, I will not do this dentistry thing in Norway. And but I decided to do something completely different, like not something about medical or pharmacy or dentistry or all of that.
I think you're being very kind to Norway when you say it like this.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, I don't think you should neither. It's like you said, it's mental punishments.
Yeah.
And this happens. Can I ask how many of you have been through the same kind of ordeal? Who had to go back to school to?
Me too. I was in exactly the same situation that I had to. For the same reason, I had to choose to be again in the videregående, and I was like, "What am I doing here?"
Yes.
I was like, mental punishment. Exactly.
Is the microphone right? Anybody else?
Yeah, I'm
Ash.
still actually going through the process.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's a very long process. Yeah. I'm a doctor as well, so that's why we're punished because we studied medicine or dentistry. You know, why you did that in a third world country? So yeah, technically, this is actually I think like the word you used is really good. It's like a mental punishment. Like every single day, if you like, and you start actually to play like why did I study medicine?
You start questioning yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why did I do that actually in a third world country? So, basically, agree with that. Yeah.
Because I hear this story a bunch of times, and my conclusion to that was this is how you're systematically oppressed. You know, when they send you back in time, that you never catch up.
Yeah.
You know, and for you, it's always a choice, actually. Haven't you noticed that? For the foreigner, it's always like a choice.
Yeah.
For the Norwegian, it's like, we know where we're going. This is what happens. And of course, you don't have that information. What we forget, one thing I was thinking about, and in your situation, and in I know Ash from before, and of course in your situation, is that where we come from as foreigners. Haven't you noticed that you know the situation of the people around you? What I mean is that if you know who your neighbor is, You know who's working where, you know who's doing what, you know what jobs they have, you know your friends, you have that connection, you know what's going on. But when you come here, the truth is you have no idea who's doing what. Socialism does that, right? And then you're in class with a bunch of 16, which is like a nightmare. I can imagine how insane that must be for you. And a teacher who you're probably smarter than. And then you're there, and you still can't figure out, like, why is this going on? I have studied 7 years. I am a dentist. You've worked in Syria. You've been in an insane situation as a dentist. And then you come to a country that's, 5 million in a city that's, 250, 260? And still, they send you all the way back. It's interesting to me that nobody's asking, what have you done so far? Can you tell us what you probably have some credentials or something. They could probably check it. Why is nobody asking that question? Because here we are, as foreigners, we're so easy to be like, okay, whatever, next, let me move on.
Yeah.
I think we shouldn't do that anymore. I think we should actually stop for a second and ask the real questions and say, why am I not studying something I am very proficient at, I've been doing for a long time? And this has been going on for a long time. But anyways, here you are, denies the rights to be a dentist. Let's be honest. This is what it is. Ash is over there, a doctor, and the miss over here, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. Layla. And Layla is probably really good at something else before she came here. That's a lot of people already.
Yeah.
That could have added to the society.
Yeah.
And such that the society becomes more diverse and more prosperous. But anyways, you decide to stop dentistry, which I understand. Jesus Christ. Okay, I understand. And then
Yeah,
and then you go to it's just I get really pissed at this kind of
I
things,
completely
to be
understand,
honest.
because at that time when I was like trying to choose something else, it's one of the time that you feel like the system is stronger than you, and I really didn't like that. Like that, I felt so much. I had so much that feeling. For example, when I didn't have passport, or I had this travel ban document, that I can't travel anywhere. So then you really feel like you are just in a box. So you are going right, left, up, down, but someone decided the box for you. And with this passport limitations, you really feel like something is way stronger than you. Like something is like really giving you this mental punishment all the time. How gonna meet my family? How gonna meet my sister? How gonna meet my mother? So for so many people who, luckily now I have this Norwegian passport that I can travel all around the world, which is the biggest privilege I've had in my life, actually. It's just so crazy to travel.
Same here.
Although they still stop me in borders when they say, Osama, just stop, But still, I can pass. But it is like when you feel like your biggest dream is to meet someone because it is impossible to get the visa. So you really feel the system is much stronger than you, that you can't do anything about it. And in this way about dentistry, I was like, maybe I can study as a dentist for I can do it 5-6 years.
You considered it.
Yeah, I can just do it. But then I was like, this was just a constant reminder of the injustice that I experienced. So now I just decided, okay, I'm just going to take a different path. I'm leaving these hospitals and everything. Ironically enough, I came back to hospitals because during my time of studying in Bergen, I was working as interpreter. Oh. And most of it was like in Haukeland and stuff. And
how did that make you feel?
No, once I remember in Buda, once I finished B2, so I was working also as an interpreter there for a short time. So then I was sent to translate at the dentist clinic. And then I remember the dentist was doing something wrong. But it's not completely wrong, but I was like, should I be a very professional interpreter or maybe professional dentist here? And so then, of course, I told him, maybe you should do it differently. And he was like, and I was like, I am a dentist, I'm sorry.
What did he react? How did he react to that?
No, he was just very surprised. And he was just very surprised. And then he was like, yeah, just listen to me. And he said, det stämmer. Yeah.
What happened after that?
No, I just left with
You left?
Yeah, but then the patient asked me, he did something wrong. And then I told him, no, he didn't do anything wrong. He was just but Osama, I just discussed something with him.
That same thing happens in Syria, what you just described right now. That thing you just described where you actually went in and presented yourself, the inner dentist in you came out. It's like a doctor in anywhere. It's in your blood, you can't help yourself. But you know what's funny? I realized something. If it was somewhere else in the world, like Syria, I'm pretty sure you would have been offered a job. People can listen to me and say, what are you talking about right now? I know what I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure they would have been intrigued, you know what I mean, and say, hey, this guy, how do you know these things? What are you doing as an interpreter? You want to have a meeting tomorrow maybe and talk about your, you know what I mean? This is a system in Norway I have seen many times where people who are actually good at something are not given the opportunity they deserve. Why? Because I feel like we live in a selfish state. A society where people don't say good morning. Well, some do. People barely talk to their neighbors. When the parents get old, you dump them somewhere in an old people's home. What does that tell you about the place you live in all honesty? And if you're sitting over here for 7 years, you work to become a dentist, that you are actually a dentist. And you go into a dental clinic and you actually talk to a dentist and tell him, hey, man, you did something wrong. And he tells you, yes, you're right. What stopped him from saying, hey, guys, there's a guy over here who's this. Why don't we just hire him? Which takes me to my next question.
Yeah.
Fremmedfrykt. Yeah, people know what that means. Sorry, I'm just assuming not everybody speaks, which is a fear of people who do not look like the people who live here. Did that cross your mind at the time?
In a way, at that time when I was at the dentist, you mean?
Yeah,
or in general?
that whole period
Yeah, of course. Of course you feel it all the time. These microaggression things, you experience it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you experience it all the time. And it is very difficult because apart from this thing about dentistry, like this thing about microaggression, that in a way, the problem with it, that you think about it all the time, but when it happens, sometimes you don't recognize it.
Yeah.
So then, for example, you feel like someone is ignoring you, but then you feel like, yeah, maybe this person didn't listen to me or something. But then it goes a whole discussion that this person is talking to the person right next to you, but they completely ignore you. And then you feel, oh this is microaggression. What is happening right now is microaggression. And it is a really big problem that you feel so many people, I notice it so much in the bus. So people just go to the safe area, which is right in the middle. They go and stand there, especially if they are migrant men. They go and stand right in the middle. They don't want to try to go there because they know the looks. Like there is an immigrant man who is coming to sit next to me. So, yeah, these things, it happens. You just think about it all the time. And
Did you just end up ignoring it and just say, okay, you know what, this is the society we live in. This is what it is. Because how long did you come to this realization? Because when you're in Syria, okay, of course you experienced a whole different type of system in terms of wealth, but that's
different kind of oppression.
Right, a different kind of oppression. It wasn't racism per se, you know. And then you come here. When did you start to play this in your mind? When did it start to kick in? Like, okay, there must be something here.
When I was in Mutak, you could feel it. So, and the refugee center there in Buda. But then you start to put words into it. When I was also in Buda, after that, when I start studying Norwegian, I start going around in the community, you just feel like sometimes things are not working well. And you try just to understand what is that? What is the dynamic here? So then why this person is nice, why this person is not? And these things about microaggression, you start to make these divisions also between racism, direct racism, and microaggressions, which I feel like we have it so much in Norway.
It's more microaggressions.
It's more microaggressions dynamics that we have in Norway than really direct racism. Because direct racism, I saw it in Russia, like in front of my eyes. It was very easy just to see the divisions between these both.
Yeah.
So in Buda, and then after I came here, I remember like when I started studying at the university, I was like, if we are 20 people who belong to the same place and there is one person who is different, we will try to include this person. But then I just felt like there is some kind of like ignoring or not giving a lot of attention to this person. And actually, sometimes you really wish that these people tell you, no, you don't belong here, just go away.
Just say it directly, right?
Sometimes it just kills, you know? But then you just come back home and you just feel like, should I go to university tomorrow? So these things start also to play in that. What should I do? What is next? Then now I took a decision to study at university, completely new path. I left dentistry. And then I came to university, and the environment around is not welcoming. Of course, not all the students, but some of them. But you really feel like these things are making you sometimes, should I regret my decision that I'm studying this? Or should I stop? Should I go back?
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I continued, and but it's still it is very difficult. And now I don't experience it at work, but in general, I still feel it sometimes in the street. Sometimes you just sit with friends and someone came in to the party or to the sitting. Maybe it was less during Corona. It was different kind of microaggression. It was about like how things are described about migrants, reason of Corona and all of that. But it's still sometimes like you just experience it and you just have to be aware of it. But it is like really difficult mentally to just think constantly about it 24 hours. It is
absolutely.
It is
100%.
very difficult.
100%. And I told, like, I came, for me, it was about, and let's be very clear. Let's be very clear. For those watching this right now, not everybody's bad. Okay, we need to say that.
Yeah, that's definitely
okay.
Yeah.
We have to, otherwise some people might be watching this from a different part of the world and then make a conclusion and say, oh my God, everyone is like that. The answer is no. They are fantastic. I've met some of the most fantastic Norwegians in my life here. But at the same time, we are just trying to normalize certain discussions.
Yeah.
If you don't normalize it, it continues.
Yes.
If you ignore it, it grows. And what we're trying to do right now, we're just discussing some of the microaggressions we see here in our society, and we're just trying to address those things so that when you're aware of it, you never know, maybe there's a 15, 14-year-old who has no idea what this is.
Exactly, yeah.
And now he's watching this and he's aware, like, oh, wow, that happens. So next time it happens, you don't feel like there's something wrong with you. Because that is what happens eventually. And I think it also messes with your self-esteem as a human being, as a person, your worth as a person. Did you feel like, okay, my name is Osama Shaheen, I need to change my name?
Oh my God, so many people recommended me to change my name, to get a job in Norway. And
did you ask them why?
No, the people have this very simple answer, like, yeah, because some people are racist, and maybe if you will apply for jobs, then they will just throw you the job application, which I completely agree. Like, it would happen so many times. And I remember when I came to Bergen, so I was like starting a new life, and I'm a student. So I applied for jobs, and then I applied to so many, but didn't get any answer. So I guess because my name is Osama.
Which is a very popular name, by the way.
Yeah.
What do you say?
Notorious.
And then 2 weeks ago, I was in the airport going to Germany, and then I got a message on my phone: Osama, please go and contact the people like who work on boarding. And I was the only one who was contacted. So then I gave them my passport, but like, actually it was 11th of September also. Like maybe they were like, yeah. So it was.
Your coincidences are crazy.
Yeah, but like if I would do something like terrorist attack, I will not call myself Osama and make no fake Norwegian passport, you know. But like they stopped me in all like in the way in Hamburg and stuff. So they were just checking and they say, yeah, okay. Like they just look at you at the beginning, take your mask off, and then they look at you, and I was the only one who was checked. So I knew that this is because of my name, of course.
Man, what is this doing to you? I mean, let's be honest. I mean, I know you're strong. I know you're resilient. I know, but it must be tearing you apart sometimes.
Of course, it is so difficult. And these things about microaggression that I'm talking about, of course, that I wish, for example, I can sit next to anyone in the bus or using the elevator in the same way as I want, for example, to use it, the space, sometimes, of course, it tears you apart, no matter how strong you are. Because when you constantly think about microaggression, this is a problem. When you think about yourself as a suspect, this is a problem. When you go to an airport and what happened, for example, if something is wrong with you in the plane, for example, you make a weird sound with your phone or something, people would get afraid of you. You just think about all of these things constantly. For like, I guess for so many men, airports is like with a name of Osama or Muhammad. I think airports is really punishment. Like you feel yourself as a suspect there because of all these dynamics about your name, religion, and all of these things.
I don't know what to say. I mean, and with this conversation, it should be running fluidly. We should be talking and having a good time, and not good time, but we should be addressing issues. But sometimes when I hear some of the things you talk about, it's safe to say that I really don't know what to say.
Yeah. No, and about this question about people told me to change my name. So then I was like, okay, so if I change my name and then should I call myself? Olav, let's say. So my name is Olav, and then yes, Olav, you are invited to this interview. So then actually already in my application, I studied in Damascus. Did Olav studied in Damascus in Syria? No, who is this Olav? Then I come this Olav to this interview, and this Olav doesn't look like an Olav. How does Olav speak? He doesn't speak like an Olav. So this, it doesn't appeal to me, you know? Like,
doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense. And like to change your name, like why, you know? Yeah.
It's
the same about this. I remember I was I was listening to this debate between political parties in Oslo, and many of them, they recommended this anonym Soknad.
Doesn't change anything.
I was like, what if this person studied in the Islamic University of Gaza? Like, how this anonym Soknad would be anonym at that time? And then like, oh yeah, the politician was like, we didn't think about that. I was like, maybe you should consider it. Like, what if this person studied in Kabul, you know? Like, why not to change the person who is like the employer, like the Arbeitgeber, but you know, like the mentality of that. Why don't we work on that instead of telling people to change their names or to make anonym Soknad? And
I stopped sending applications a long time ago for jobs. To be honest, I can remember the last time I sent an application for a job. I think what really pissed me off was the very fact that companies and industries were hiring stupid people to give orders. And not to sound, I never said I was smarter than they are. That's not what I'm saying. But if this story keeps going on and on, then maybe, just maybe, the person who's in charge of that company needs another job. Because most of the times when you see, how many of you have applied for a job, and to the audience watching too, and the first thing you see is it's Advent. Have you ever seen that you see that all the time, right? It's Advent. You know what's funny is, I got no problems with everything on that application, but when I see that word it's Advent, then I have a problem with the application. Because it's a bit ironic that, especially when you're a foreigner, if you notice, if you're a foreigner and you work in a space, we foreigners have a way of being very positive. Haven't you noticed? We're very positive people. We smile a lot. We've been through so much that it's like, this is nothing, you know? So we just like, all right, sure, we smile a lot. But you know what's funny? The day you stop smiling, there's a problem. Has anybody noticed that? Or is it just something I'm just making up in my mind right now? Then it's good Ibrahim. I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm just having a bad day. Nice to do like a dålig stämning. I'm like, I'm just having a bad day, you know? Because the funny thing is, if I look at Olav, the person you're describing, Olav can not talk to me. If I work in a company for a year, Olav might just say, good, yeah, hi, okay, hi there. That's all Olav is going to say to me. But no one is asking Olav, go to Brahmadai. Because it's accepted that that's how it is. That is the status quo. And then you come in as a foreigner. I feel like we get lied to a lot on who we should be and how we should behave. I feel like we get lied to a lot. But what happens is we're so grateful, you know, to be in a quote unquote better situation that we don't really see what's happening behind the curtains.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You apply for a job, you feel pressure. Your name doesn't add up. You know, or sometimes, which is a classic these days, you're overqualified. And then someone else who's not even close to what you're doing gets a job, and you start asking yourself, like, what is wrong with me?
Yeah.
But I don't know. Right now, I'm actually really feeling this. This is the first time I think there's so many things you're saying, and it's just like I'm becoming aware of a lot of other things at the same time, you know, and it's just kind of like interfering with my questions. So you go to a new university to a new degree to study something else, and then the first thing what you said was that the space didn't make any sense to you still.
Yeah, like I didn't feel I'm very encouraged to go to university and attend the lectures. It was a bit difficult, but I was still like trying to do it because the lectures were really interesting. I chose to study gender studies in the University of Bergen, bachelor, first year from scratch. So I was really enjoying the lectures, but like I didn't feel like I can be part of the group, maybe for different reasons. Maybe my Norwegian wasn't as good at that time. So many different things, but also one of them that the environment wasn't really inclusive. But then also after that, after 1 year, I applied for a master in community work because I could use the studying points that I have from Nukkot to study a master.
Oh, okay.
So then I was like, yeah, maybe I can study a master. I can apply for this. And then I applied for a master in community work in HVL, like Høgskolen på Vestlandet. And then I was a bit crazy. I was combining bachelor and master together. So I was studying second year gender studies and first year master. But then I like second year on my master, I just stopped gender studies. I was like, I can just concentrate on my master thesis. And
So where are you now? How did I help you afterwards? Did you feel okay? Yeah, now this is making
so
sense?
much. Of course, like you need a degree in order to work. Although that I don't completely agree that everything should be on this bachelor or master because I gained so much experience and knowledge from other places. But I tried also to engage myself in volunteer organizations and
Skyvarden, for example.
Yeah. I was working there, and it was really very relevant also to gender studies. So I enjoyed working there. Then we started this, like this magazine. Yeah. Next month I will submit my thesis. I wrote about migrant men.
About what?
Migrant men.
Okay.
Yeah. And how masculinity changed itself from a country to another when someone is displaced. So yeah, I will submit next month, and I'm working on better now.
Yeah, I see you're doing an intern. Listen, man, let's clap for this guy, man. Jesus Christ. Man, I think this is the reason I love my job. You know, it's like you get to meet all these beautiful people and have all these beautiful stories and take it in. Thank God I have to take it all out before the next interview. Otherwise, I'm just going to go crazy.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing. And then we're going to talk about the journals you've written so far. And have you guys seen Dar? It's called Dar. Dar.
Yeah.
Dar. I think we could do like this. Maybe I can pass it around. We're all corona free, right? Yeah, we're good. All right, there we go. And it's right now, is it three volumes?
Yeah.
And because I remember when I told you early today, I opened the journal. Now there's volume 0, volume 1, and volume 2.
Yeah.
Right. That's 3 volumes of the same journal. And of course, I asked for the first volume, and I got volume 1.
Yeah, which is the second one.
Which was the second one. And I was like, oh, here we go. Let's start from the first one. And luckily for me, you brought in volume 0. And I remember when I got the first volume and I opened it and started looking at it, I got so mad. I got so mad that I actually said to myself, what is this? I was saying, what is Osama trying to accomplish here, really? You know, just another journal? What is this? We've seen a lot of journals and blah, blah, blah. And then I realized that the reason I was mad was because I never had a journal like that when I came to Norway. You know what I mean? Because the information here in the journal is so, and I recommend you guys to pick it up. It's called DAR, D-E-R. It means house.
Home.
Home.
Yeah.
It means home. And there's a dual meaning, kind of duality to that name,
Yeah,
actually.
like the guy who created the name is the one who biked with me, and he's there, Imad.
Oh.
So
We need to interview this guy next time.
So I discussed the idea with him. So he's the one who came with the logo and the name. He told me like it should be a word that has both meanings in Arabic and Norwegian. It's easier. It's easy also for Norwegian people to remember since it's reflect each other. So yeah, it means home in Arabic. Yes.
Wow. And it means there in,
Yeah.
of course. No, I saw it, and I highly recommend people to check it out because when I saw some of the information there, I began to think about this lack of information. When we come here as foreigners, sometimes it is not that. I think the Norwegian society thinks that it's like a, you know, just switch off, switch on. You're not in Syria anymore. Welcome to Norway.
Yeah.
This is you now. Take it.
Yes.
And I don't think it works that way.
No.
You were tearing a person, you were denying a person from everything they have learned, from where they're coming from, the society they grew up in. And some of them have even never seen the winter before. You know, we had friends back home. We played football all the time. We talked to the neighbors. We say hi. We say hello. When we eat, we probably eat together from the same plates.
Yes.
It was just something we did when I was growing up. From the same plates, we say hello to the neighbors. And I think it's very unfair that the Norwegian society expects a lot from you. They do not know that this is actually crushing your soul.
Yeah.
Because the more you're trying to climb up in the society, the more you're losing yourself of who you are, and it becomes this battle of identity.
Yeah.
So when I picked up DAR and I saw it, I was like, wow, this is actually good information to know about the society I'm in. I think every school or whatever, you know, even Asil Mutak actually should have one of those, just like, hey, here you go, guys.
Yeah.
This is a society you're coming into. Here's the parliamentary system over here. These are the political parties we have. We have welfare system. If you work hard, you're going to get to it. School is generally free. Actually, you have possibilities. Give them this information. Let them know what's going on. We don't say hi, hello, good morning, but you understand afterwards. There's microaggressions too, but you'll deal with it. You know, at least at that point, it prepares your mind.
Yeah.
For
And that's why also the second number it was about racism and microaggression, because you really need to know these things in order to go on in the community.
Absolutely.
Because if you're just in this bubble that everything is nice and suddenly you crash with something, you don't understand what is happening. But I completely agree with you. And this transition, it is so difficult in so many ways that when you grew up, for example, I grew up in dictatorship, like Syria is probably very, very likely with North Korea, I would compare it to.
Okay.
Yeah. And then this transition, when it happens, you really have to replace this dictatorship with something that the system is here to help you. You can criticize it. There is a lot of things to criticize.
Absolutely.
But it is there to help you,
100%.
not as dictatorship. And this transition then is not so easy that, yes, now we practice your Norwegian identity, but it's not like that. It is so difficult. And this about political parties, so many actually, 3 or 4 people who say that they are first-generation migrants, which are the målgruppa, like the target group of that. They said, like, we haven't voted before, but now it's not about the vote. It's about that we get information. What are the political parties are really about? And it is so difficult. And
they don't know.
I understand Norwegian, and it is so difficult to make all this to compare between them and what are the politics of this and that, and to make your decision, for example, to vote or not to vote. This is not the point, but the point is to get the information, the basic
At least you
information.
know about it, pretty much.
Yeah.
And that information is not, I think it wasn't until recently where Norway began to look into its minority numbers in terms of voting. And I think they understood that, wow, a lot of minorities don't vote.
Yeah.
And I tell people, you cannot blame the minority for not voting. You're not putting information enough for the minority to vote. And even worse, to make it even better, there's not enough minorities in your parliaments. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's just not enough. And we are the kind of people, I think, that when we see someone who looks like us, we feel like, okay, yeah, I can... Yeah, sure. I can come to that, and I feel more calm. I know what's happening. But when the political system, when the House, I call it the House, Stuten, right? Stuten, it's called. If they don't understand that you cannot make decisions for people who do not look like you, actually. I know it sounds weird to say. Why? Because these people are actually coming from a different space. Now, if you want them to understand your system, well, at least give them the information.
Yeah.
That's what they know. And it wouldn't hurt you. Ash, you have the statistics in this. How many migrants are studying?
Past student in 2017, it was like 5, which is like 2.5%.
Yeah.
Comparing to a 14% or 15% of immigrants in Norway. So technically, there's like a huge underrepresentation of immigrants in the. But good thing this year it's like 11 or something like that. So we're growing.
Yeah. But this thing also about voting, like another reason, like migrants don't vote. But another thing is that those who vote, there is a study that also we mentioned in this in journal in Dar, that 60% of them, they vote for one party, which is the biggest party in Norway, because people want stability. And what are the people are voting? Yes, let's just vote to this party. So there is a kind of group voting, and this is really problematic because there is 9 parties here. It's not only one party as you had before, because you just get used to this. And we mentioned also in this, like it was in the introduction, I was very angry and sad in 2019. It was that the local election here in Bergen, and then I heard about one person who lived in Hilsha, and he voted for a party, Untitled, which is okay. Like you vote to any party. I'm not against it. But then you ask this person, do you have a car? And then he said, no. So why did you vote to the party that mainly is about people who has cars and are paying for this Pumpengar? And then he said, well, my neighbor told me it's a good party. But it's basically like this area there, people voted for Untitled Pumpengar, and all his neighbors voted for Untitled Pumpengar. So this man was like going to the right, asking his neighbor there, his neighbor there, his neighbor there, and all of them, they voted for Untitled Pumpengar. And then he voted to this party, although that he doesn't have a car. Like it's not about the party, but it's about like the main cause for this party is like for people who has cars.
No, misinformation.
Yeah.
You know, and of course I wouldn't say ignorance, and I wouldn't say that because it
just misinformation.
Doesn't know. You know, just misinformation. Because ignorance is such a strong word. Because then we're assuming that the person is stupid.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's stupid. He just didn't know. It was I just do as my neighbor did. It wasn't, you know. But that happens a lot. Yeah. Like you were saying. And I mean, there's a lot going on in our systems. There's a lot we don't see. There's a lot they don't tell us. And yet again, I still say, Norway's. I'm lucky I live in Norway. I'm not gonna lie. It's great here. It's nice. I raise my kids here. That's I thank God I'm raising my kids here. Yeah. You know, but at the same time, it doesn't. But doing this, having this conversation so freely on live television, it just goes to show that there's democracy here.
Exactly. Yes.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, we're actually sitting down here criticizing and talking about,
and we are enjoying the democracy of it.
It's just we're enjoying the democracy of it. And we need other people to know about it. And to even touch on something about when you're minority, I actually have a friend of mine who, she's a doctor, and she's African. And she was born here. like born here. She's probably more Norwegian than any other Norwegian I know. And I remember she's told me that when she goes to her patients, Norwegian patients, when she walks in, they usually ask her, when is the doctor coming in? And it's like, I was thinking, how do you react to that? You know, the same thing that happens to you too, as a dentist. That's the reason I'm saying it. Because let's say you had become a dentist, Osama, and you actually go to a patient, and he looks at you and he says, when is the dentist coming in? In other words, I don't think it matters what you do.
Yeah.
You're going to face something.
Yeah.
And that is really sad. But you're here, man. And but so far, so do you feel like you're actually getting to the space you want to get? I don't want to say I don't want to say financially or forget that. That doesn't matter. I'm talking about peace of mind.
Yeah, I'm enjoying what I'm doing right now, and like this work where I'm working now, it's really professional. It's really professional, and it's like also they are really focusing. Like this internship is really like nice program in general. They are investing so much in it, and it's really nice opportunity that I got. It's nice, like also with this with Dar, and also how it is like the result of a group work, teamwork. It's really like this nice that you spend before printing are really like very stressful, and you really like afraid of one word here, one word there, and like to make this kind of work, like I'm not gonna be humble here, like it really needs a lot of people. We are 3 people who are working in this, so just like a lot of work, but we are very, very small team. So like you really enjoy these things. After when it comes out, you just feel like it's a baby that is in front of you after printing. So this thing also together with work and everything, things are well, and I'm enjoying that I didn't go to study the same information in dentistry again. Like I'm happy that I didn't take that step.
I'm happy I quit chemistry.
You did chemistry.
Yeah, I did chemistry. Yeah. So
you have a lot to talk.
When you were talking about chemistry, I was like, oh my God. That's brutal. But I want to say too, can you guys just stand up, man? 2 of you, please. The friends you're talking about. Yeah, let's see you, man. Jesus Christ, man. Let's see you. You know why? Because to be honest, I think these 2 guys are your backbone.
Yes, man.
Let's be honest, because we got to give credit to certain kind of people. It's so beautiful to have these kind of people in your life.
Yeah.
Because I have a feeling if they weren't there,
no, it wouldn't happen.
No,
it wouldn't happen.
I don't see a lot of things happening, and resting that assurance on people that you know from before. And I wish I had people like this.
Yeah.
To be honest, I wish I did, because it gives you that confidence you need. And sometimes when you're at your lowest, of course, I know you're a girlfriend also. But there's something about this friendship, especially the long-lasting friendship from before, that actually elevates a person and pushes you to a different level where you feel like I can conquer the world because I am not alone.
Yeah.
Man, it's been great having you out here, man.
Thank you.
This has been something.
It's really a pleasure to be in Meeting of the Minds, and I'm so happy that Meeting of the Minds exists. Actually,
you know what? We're just trying to. There's like I said, this representation is pretty low, and it is important for people to see people who look different, different, but just not your normal standards. Conversations. If you notice, I'm using curse words when I'm talking to you. And the reason I do these things is because this idea is based on the foundation of the fact that there are not enough conversations going on. Right? And this conversation doesn't have to be between a PhD holder or a master's degree holder or anything. It's just 2 guys who've been in a city doing their thing and just catching up. And talking about what's going on. It's important.
Yes.
Otherwise, how old are you, mate? How old are you? Right. Otherwise, a 15-year-old cat like that grows up and thinks like these conversations only happen with two Norwegians.
Yeah.
That's not true. We have a voice ourselves. So my job is just to give us the voice, and anybody who wants to echo that voice. Pretty much, that's my job, and that's what I do.
Yeah.
You know, it's not about being famous or popular. I don't give a shit about that. God knows. Everyone who knows me knows that. It's not my thing. But it's great to have you out here finally. Finally. I know we've been pushing this for a while. It's good to have you, man. More power to you, more grace to you, and I'll be following your work for sure. Thank you guys for watching this episode of Meeting of the Minds. If you haven't read Dar, please pick it up. If you're in Bergen, check it out. I'm pretty sure there's a website somewhere. If you follow Osama, where can we find it?
You can find it in front of Literature Husa. You can just buy the copies if you want.
Norton, it's called?
Yeah. And website is darjournal.no.
There you go.
Yeah.
You guys should pick it up, check it out. It's amazing literature. If you're just coming into Norway and you're Arabic, actually, it's even better because the whole thing has been translated. It's just insane amount of work. I mean, I don't read Arabic, but I can imagine how much work must go into that. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Please, Norway is an amazing country. I want to say that. Okay, there are possibilities here. There are availabilities here. I mean, I'm based here in the Literature House, which is an amazing thing. I have amazing colleagues behind the camera. Two fantastic ladies, Dina and Vilda, been with me for a bit. Thank you for watching. We're back here next week, Friday, with a new guest who was adopted from Tanzania, actually, and is well on his way to becoming one of the greatest artists in the city of Bergen. He goes by the name of Startet, and I'm looking forward to having that conversation. Hopefully you guys can tune in. Check us out on Slam Poetry Bergen, Instagram, Facebook, wherever. That's where we usually project from, or MoftMinds on Facebook. Thank you very much for watching, and have a pleasant evening. Get drunk, get wasted, do what you need to do to get by the day. It's all good. Or just sit at home and watch a good movie. No problem. Have a good night. Cheers.